Hi, I am trying out something new. So we're going to look at this patient status report, and this will go through how you'll open it and process it. So in Correspondence, you can select this by going to CH Patient Status Report here, and then click Submit. And then you'll open it just as you do any other correspondence by clicking on the double arrows. So here is what you'll need to do when you process this. You'll need to add in your phone number, an email, or just your phone number, however you want the provider or referral source, whoever it is you're sending this to contact you. So I'm going to put in a phone number and an email address. And click Update. You can choose to change any of this stuff. So if Dr. Morris isn't correct, or you wanted to add Dr. Henry Morris, you can update that. You can also change the phone number here if you wanted to. I don't have this set, the current case status. I can have it set to just populate in what the current status actually is. But the reason I chose to make this a text box is because you can't edit this to make it close. So if you wanted to send an update for a client who's closed, you wouldn't be able to do this. So if you ever need to send an update about a closed client, you'll send this before you close the client. And you'll say closed, update, you'll put the date, and then the reason for closure, which is whatever those reasons are in the procedures manual. So no additional services needed. Can put that. And then down here you'll see a much prettier version of our care plan. So it's a kind of a truncated version. You can say yes or no based on whether the client has identified a need here. So if you've been working on housing, you can click on yes, that the need was identified. Update, and you'll see that that is checked off. Then you'll come over to the outcome. If you're still working on it, this is where you can kind of be a little creative in what you're doing. So if you're in the middle of doing completing this pathway, you can say something like resources provided, follow-up needed, or you could say pending, application or something like that. So you can put that in here. Or the wording isn't all that important to match what we have in a set. Okay, so you can, if you're not working on something or you haven't worked on something, then you would say, no, not identified as a need, update, and then you don't have to do anything over here in outcomes, so it would continue to be NA. Transportation, let's say we completed transportation pathway with this person. In outcome, I'll say goal met. I blended together the medical and the social service. Transportation, utilities assistance, we'll say, I'm going to say that we did this. So we said goal met for this transportation. For utilities, I'm going to say that we did work on this, but that the goal wasn't met. And in this, you can say goal not met, and the reason. They weren't eligible. And then you would go through and say what you need to do. Either you worked on it or not, or you are working on it or not. medication reconciliation. This is, I blended together the medication assessment and the medication management. So the intention here is just whether or not the provider has concerns. So we'd say, yes, we've opened this. And then what I'm imagining you'll do, instead of saying goal met or goal not met, because that doesn't really make any sense to someone who's not familiar with a set, in here you would say provider has concerns, or provider confirmed meds, or something like that. No concerns would be no concerns, or provider has concerns. Those are the two options I would put in there. Update that and continue. You can also add in here, so for medical referrals, you can click in here and say dental specialty, or you can be even more specific and say podiatrist, and update there. You want to make sure you say yes, that this was identified as a need. And then in the outcome, you can either, if they're both met, you would say goals met. If one was met, you'd say goal met, dental met, podiatrist pending, or something like that. And update. So make sure that the yeses or the nos are clicked in all of these, that you're working on, or that you're not working on. Click on all these. And then there's a room down here to add a little note to say client is doing well with routine, something like that. That's very vague. I don't think you would write that, but you get what I mean. You click continue, just as you normally would. Continue. If you haven't sent a communication yet with the ROI, or depending on who you're sending this to, you could choose to send ROI again. So you click choose the ROI down here. Of course, this is my test client. She doesn't have an ROI in the system. So you'd click continue. You'd add it. Click continue if you wanted. And then, of course, click on approved. And then after I click save, I get to edit out that long waiting period. Okay, so once it's loaded down here in the correspondence history, you then open it up, click on that double arrow, and then download the letter. And there it is. So we have this letter. Doesn't it look so much better than what we had before at the CHW meeting? I mean, I think the fact that it fits to one page, it's concise, it's very clean, and you would do the same thing. You can send this to multiple people, because we don't have it saying dear provider or to the PCP, because I know correspondence takes forever. You can just send this to multiple people, and you'd use your agency's cover sheet for your faxes. So you'll notice, one thing I didn't mention was here, current case status. I ran this as if this person was closed, but you could just say enrolled and then leave the date and the reason down here as NA. And then you'd send this off. I will put in a standard note for when you send this, if you choose to use that, and that will be helpful for us to keep track of. Put it under provider contact and referral source contact. And this is going to be different from the enrollment what is it, the enrollment letter that we talked about at the last CHW meeting. That one is going to go to the provider, to the referral source, once you enroll the client, after you fill out the checklist. And I'm going to update that. Right now it's set to really just be sent to the provider, the PCP, but I'm going to edit it to look a little bit more like this letter so that it's general, and you can send that to whoever is applicable. So it could go to the PCP, it could also go to the referral source, or to if they have a caseworker who is interested in what's going on, or if they have two people referring the same person, you can send it to both of them without having to process the correspondence multiple times. I know that is time consuming. So if you have any questions about this, if anything wasn't clear, just let me know. You know how to find me. Hopefully this was helpful. Thanks.